Hey everyone, Social Solipsist here for another episode of 52 and 52, and this week taking a quick look at Vermintide, or rather I should say Warhammer End Times Vermintide, as it is more formally called. Um, this is an interesting little piece, very generously donated to me by my friend Jubbatron. Check his channel out in the description below. It is very much in the same vein as can be easily seen just by a few pictures or a tiny bit of footage like you're seeing right now. It's much in the same vein as Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, sort of that first-person horde mode, do an objective while fighting off hordes of enemies type of thing. And I was hopeful that it would be good, and frankly, it is not. It does have a lot of promise, I should say that. The Warhammer universe is pretty interesting. I'm a bit more personally into the 40k universe, as I believe I've expressed previously. And I know very little about Warhammer Fantasy, but what little I have learned does seem to be interesting, and in fact, aforementioned friend Jubbatron will be putting out some videos in the foreseeable future regarding that universe, so I highly recommend you check those out. Like I said, it's an interesting universe. The mix-up of the usual Left 4 Dead type gameplay is that this is much more melee focused. But that's sort of where the problems start, because the melee is quite shallow. There are variants on different weapons that the various different character classes, so to speak, the different character archetypes can use, and they do swing differently and that sort of thing. But it's a very simple, click to melee type of thing, with a charge attack and a block, and then your secondary being your projectile weapon of whatever kind that has limited ammo, and is quite powerful, but again, limited ammo and limited uses. On top of all that, there are a number of other issues everywhere, from just the quality of how the game runs. I mean, it crashes frequently, at least once, if not multiple times, during an hour session of gameplay. It does not run very well. Like, it'll do 60 on my machine most of the time, and then randomly I'll be bandaging myself up and it'll drop to 10 frames a second, with no warning and no explanation. As far as the actual matchmaking goes, I mean, the biggest problem is the fact that the community is already dead, more or less. There are very few people playing. Even it's less than a year old. I think it's about 6 months old, and the community is not there. And they've released some DLC maps and things like that, but whether or not those have really been purchased is another question entirely. And whether it's reinvigorated the community, I would have to assume not, just based on the numbers that I'm seeing and how difficult it is to get into a game with people. What else? On top of all that, graphically, it's not particularly fantastic. I mean, the modeling is pretty good. The various enemy types they're basically just rehashes of Left 4 Dead 2 zombie types, special zombies, transferred over to the Vermintide universe, and not done very well, I would have to say. Whereas, there were always counter plays for all of the special enemies, special zombies in Left 4 Dead. There are several different types of enemies in Vermintide that are more or less uncounterable. You have to take the hit, and somebody has to get you up. There's no way to, unless you use your projectile weapon, which you may not even have ammo for, or something like that, or may not be able to get enough shots off on, they will catch you, and you will have to get a friend to help you up, which is kind of a big enough problem on its own. And getting back to graphics, everything is very dark, very washed out, which is kind of odd that the two things go together, but the contrast is fairly low, while still being quite dark in some areas. And the saturation is very low. Just, it's sort of that grimdark feeling that's really permeating a lot of games these days. And I was hoping would sort of stay in the first-person shooter and a few RPGs, but it has, well, I shouldn't say I'm surprised, but I was sort of hoping, based on screenshots, that it would look better, perform better, all around be better than it is. That said, I'm not totally unhappy with having it. Again, it was gifted to me, so I can hardly complain. And despite, it's one of those games that for all its faults, you'll still play it because you have people to play it with. That's really sort of its saving grace, at least for me, is the fact that I have a few people to play it with, that I don't have to wait around for random people and just get frustrated at the game by myself. If something goes terribly wrong, I can complain about it to the friends that I'm playing with. And for that, not of its own doing, it gets a bit of a pass on that account. I'm sure I had more things to say about it, but honestly, it just kind of bums me out that the Games Workshop and the various other companies that have been involved in making video games for the Warhammer and Warhammer 40k universes have been so butchered in past. And again, friend Jubatron is making some videos to that end. I highly recommend you go check them out, because he's a very funny fellow and has a lot of very smart things to say about both the universes themselves and the real life consequences of how their intellectual property is being handled. So yeah, go give him a shout out. Let him know that that I sent you. Although I'm sure he is one of the few people who will watch this video. Anyway. Yeah, that's been Vermintide. I'll probably play a few more times with some friends, but as it is right now, the devs just don't seem to be aware of the issues that are going on with it. It's kind of a bummer. Anyway, I've been the Social Solipsist. Thank you guys for watching once again, and I will see you guys next time.
But apparently I still killed him even though my crosshair was nowhere near him. Holy hell, there's just a bit of cheese sliding across the floor and a big sea of fire.